Scrap the Cap, Sovereignty Act edition. Alberta's UCP government is bringing a motion here to the legislature claiming Ottawa's cap on oil and gas emissions is unconstitutional.
We're fighting back with every weapon in our arsenal. The Alberta Sovereignty within the United Canada Act was designed to protect our province from unconstitutional interference, and now we're going to use it again.
Alberta already bought $7 million worth of ads demanding the cap be scrapped. Now the UCP will use its Sovereignty Act to push back against what they say is a production cap on the province's oil and gas sector. This is the second use of the Sovereignty Act. The first happened about a year ago to fight Ottawa's plan for a net zero electricity grid by 2035.
Well, look, they pushed us to the limit. We've been trying to negotiate with them now ever since the moment I had my first conversation with Justin Trudeau, where I told him that we wanted to align with their objectives to reach carbon neutrality by 2050.
The UCP also plans to stop provincial entities from complying with the cap, declare oil and gas infrastructure essential, and attempt to bar federal officials from entering those facilities. But the NDP argues the Sovereignty Act is nothing more than an expensive stunt. Instead, leader Naheed Nenshi suggests Alberta work with Ottawa to make a deal on emissions rather than hiring more lawyers and fighting just to fight.
The Sovereignty Act accomplishes nothing. We're still in the same court cases. We're still hiring the same lawyers. We're just sitting on the other side of the courtroom. It's the absolute epitome of doing nothing when there's very serious issues going on.
This law professor says there are still lots of unknowns around the Sovereignty Act because it has not been tested in court. But Eric Adams says if Alberta declares federal laws invalid or orders provincial entities to ignore them, the dispute could end up in front of a judge, with the province a clear underdog.
You have a conflict of laws that courts will almost always resolve in favor of the federal law. That's the way our constitutional system works. So we'll have to wait and see.
The federal Liberals have argued that their emissions cap is a reasonable way to clean up the oil and gas sector, saying Alberta is repeatedly lying by calling it a cap on production. They also call the Scrap the Cap campaign a waste of money and say Alberta should work with them to protect jobs and the environment. From the legislature, Sean Amato, City News.